right, everyone. Hello. It's McVince and Kevin here from the Mirage Hotel in beautiful Las Vegas. We're doing a kind of PowerPoint presentation, a little alteration of what was supposed to happen. Keith was supposed to come out here and do some form of video on a few subjects with Kevin and I, and unfortunately, Keith couldn't make it due to some illnesses. So we're trying to at least do something while I'm out here. So we're going to set up a PowerPoint about some certain subjects. One thing that I want to tell you is that Kevin and I, whatever input we have is unscripted. We're kind of putting this as we're not going to be doing any kind of master classes. Kevin and I talked. We feel that there's enough information on the forum to steer everybody in the right direction. We're just probably going to be going over some things that we feel that may be important to bolster your game. So say hi, Kevin.
Hey guys. I posted earlier today. If you read and go through those master classes and just listen to them 1, 2, 3, 4 times, if you are not a Baccarat killer after that, I'm not sure whatever we could say would help you. So we're here to talk about things, and that's what we're here for. I'm sitting here with Vince at the Mirage Hotel in beautiful Las Vegas.
All right. So again, what this is not going to be, it's not going to be like a master class, like Kevin and I just said. It's whatever strategy we've given, but the forum has given you is more than enough to steer you in the right direction. Kind of some of the things that we're going to be covering is on some other subjects, but one of the key things is why are you betting, what are you betting, and should I be betting? And now 1 and 3 obviously are the same thing, but I just put it in different words. So basically, it's a checks and balances of a laundry list of things that you should go through, and then at the end, ask yourself the same thing. A couple of things that we're going to do. The first subject. What we're going to be talking about is, again, why am I betting? Kevin, anything on that?
Yeah, I've got a lot on that, but I'll make it brief. The reason you're betting is to win. That is the only reason you should be betting. If you do not believe you can win a hand, a group of hands, or a shoe, you should not be betting at all. I say to myself, there's a bet that I like, and then there's a bet that I love. Bets that I like, I try not to bet because I'm not going to put out $100, $200 on something that I think may happen. If I love the bet and I'm going to bet it, I lose, then I'm going to tip my cap to him. But I'm not going to just throw away money. And this is, I think every master class from Way Too Fast, Oz, Kevin, me, and soon to be Wolf App. It's probably stressed that enough. Don't bet anything unless you really have your conviction set. What are you betting? Again, a lot of the basic foundations of this forum is based off of some form of following the shoe, whatever biases or trends or strong side, weak side, whatever it is. That's kind of what you're betting. It's you see this often. People go on these guessing games, and I hate that word guessing because it's a mortal word in our forum for certain reasons. But everything should be based off of research, study, and a formulated opinion. Kevin? Yeah, what are you betting? We've talked a lot about this. By the time you get comfortable with all this stuff and you're really a more accomplished player, which I think anybody who's listening to this probably is becoming one, really you should only be having to bet no more than just flat betting. If you want to do a 1-2 loop or something like that, that's not too dangerous. But honestly, the whole idea is you're going to win more than you lose. So you don't really need to do much more than that. So I would say, with regards to what am I betting, I would say take your bankroll, divide it by some number you're comfortable with, whether it's 20, 40, 50, whatever, and just bet that amount. on the hands you really believe you're going to win, and I think you'll come out way ahead.
And again, the should I be betting is pretty much the same as number one, but it's just a confirmation question that you have. Okay, after everything I've done, do I still believe that this is the right bet? Don't look at everybody else on the table. Don't look at who has the most money. You bet whatever you want to bet, and if it's you against the world, then you know what, it's going to make you that much happier when you win and everybody else loses. So don't let that outside influence of who's betting what make that reflecting in your betting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give an example right from this morning over at the Venetian. I just walked into the high limits room, and here was Vince sitting down, and there was another player at the table, and she was betting a couple of $100 a hand, and the first bet or two, I believed in what Vince was betting, and so I did the same thing. But he'll tell you, after that, we didn't agree on every bet, and I looked at it and said, should I bet or not? And I had no influence from him or the other player at the table as to how much they were betting or should I bet or not. I made my own decisions and bet accordingly.
A couple funny stories about that. I've had the pleasure, the honor of playing with Kevin, Way Too Fast, CT, Keith, a number of players, and I've gotten very friendly with a number of the players, and it's fun when you're betting against, not against the person, but you have a different belief on where it's going to go, and I know nobody really knows me here, but I have a tendency to talk a lot of smack. I'm like the Michael Jordan of Baccarat. I'll talk smack to you all day, and it's pretty fun when you're having a friendly game. But we all know that we're there for each other. But in that particular bet, it's we're not. And when you win, and you let them know that you won, and vice versa. It's not good on the other end, but it's a lot of fun. So, but the thing is, when you're playing at this level, the one thing that I have problems with is like people following you blindly. Like I have friends of mine that come out and play with me, and they'll throw $100 out just to follow me, and you put that pressure on yourself. I could never do that, and on the same token, I don't know if I could ever follow anybody blindly if I don't agree with what they're betting. So again, just be true to your convictions.
Yeah, let me just add on to that, because I live in Las Vegas. I've got a few people that I play with on a regular basis, and honestly, most of them want to follow or bet or do whatever I do or not bet. And I feel like I've got a couple of them trained now. Trained meaning they have their own methodology and their own feeling about what to bet or not. But for the most part, people want to just bet what I'm betting. And we all know sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the big thing is that you need to come up with your own conviction and your own methodology as to when or why should you be betting or not.
Okay. Next thing we're going to go over in the Oz Masterclass. I think that there were some portions of Oz's class that I really loved, and it kind of gave me a different outlook on things. And I call them the red flag sequence of events. And I'm not going to go over the red flags that Oz put out, because I don't want to be I don't want to overload or just beat a dead horse. But what I want to do is, and I'm sure everybody has them. What I want to do is I want to point out some of mine that maybe you can add to your arsenal, or maybe you agree with or you don't agree with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple that I think.
And while Vince is pulling that up, let me tell you, if you haven't watched the masterclass at least twice, please go back and do it again, because the stuff he threw out as food for fodder was more than just that. It had to do with looking at hundreds of shoes, which are posted in the SBI, or what used to be called Stats for Profit. And the way he looked at things was based on not conjecture, but actual things that have occurred in the past. And I have to admire him for that, because he did a great job.
And one thing to really listen on or hone in on is Oz's experience. The guy's 300 years old. He's probably played about 17 million Baccarat shoes with the Greeks from Athens. When they wore the feather on their hats and stuff like that. He is speaking from experience, and I have to kind of put out a little dig at Oz, because I know he gives enough digs at me. So anyway, all right. So the first one that I kind of look at as a red flag is what I call them the descending combined events. Okay, obviously I'm pointing them out here. Okay, you have a 3-player, a 2-player, a 2-banker, and a 1-player. All right, if you see this here, if you see the sequence of events, okay, they all went to second liners. Okay, once you got to that 1-player, I call it the Pavlov's dog bet. And if anybody doesn't know what Pavlov's dog is, you can research that. Pavlov's dog event is like the bait is for that player to go to 2. Okay, but it went to 1. So I kind of look at the descending combined events as a, again, it's either a red flag, or if something is telling me to bet a 1-player, which at this point it wouldn't be, maybe I would bet a 1-player, and depending on where I'm at on my bankroll. So that's just one of them. Kevin? See this. Yeah, I already see this.
Okay, so what you're looking at here, I'm going to speak to something now that I'm not sure anybody's ever told you this, but I'm going to tell you right now, is if you look at those parts of the scoreboard that are kind of foreign to you, down at the bottom left and right-hand corner, they have what are called the dragon and the butterfly bets. And a dragon is going to consist of player, bank, player, or bank, player, bank. And the butterfly is the same thing, only it's shorter. And let me just tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the very, very first part of the shoe, and you see the 2 red, bankers, and the 3 players, and then another 2 bankers. Some people would describe that as a butterfly, and then after that it switches right again to a player. And if you look right after that, you're going to see right there, you're going to see a player, and then 2 bankers and a player. That would be a butterfly, and then it switches again. And then you look at it a little further, and you see a player, and then you see 2 banks, 2 players, 2 banks, and then it switches again to a player. And then you see another little short butterfly there. You see a player and 2 banks and a player. There's a lot of stuff in there that if you look at a whole bunch of shoes, you're going to find it recurring over and over. And you're going to see it again later in the shoe. It's not going to happen every time, but it's just another thing in your game you should be looking at.
Good. Good, Kevin? Okay. All right, another one is one of my personal things is 4 or 5 single events of the same side. That's not strong side, it's same side. You start seeing 1, 1, 1, 1 there. I fall prey to this sometimes. It's one of the flaws in my game where I'm saying to myself, all right, it's got to break, it's got to break, it's got to break. Sometimes it just doesn't break. However, not to say you have to bet that it's going to go to 2, but you don't have to bet. And one of the things that I've taken from Oz, and I've spoken with him many times, and he got this from Norm, is that you'd rather not make one winning bets as opposed to making one losing bet. Because the one losing bet's going to get you into the loss. Now I know Kevin and I talked about that. He doesn't necessarily subscribe to that theory. However, when you're ever going to make the determination that it's going to break, odds are it's going to break at some certain time, and obviously on this event here it did break. So just be mindful of that. 4 or 5 one event in a row of the same side. Okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna give you an example of a big mistake I made yesterday. I had a free bet at one of the casinos, and it was fairly significant. And the shoe setup was a lot of 3s and 4s in a row, banker and player, and then all of a sudden there was 8 single, bank player, bank player, bank player, bank player. And then there was a 2 that interrupted it, and then again it was bank player, and it came for me to make my free bet, and I said, I think it's going to go to 2 again after seeing all those 1s in a row, and then 2, and then 2 more 1s in a row. And you know what I did? I bet on the 1 going to 2, and I lost. And so to what Vince was just saying is just look carefully at what you're saying, and there is no magic or anything that's going to have to work all the time. But to what Oz was talking about the other day is there's a lot of times you just should not bet.
Exactly. I kind of look at it like this is like if you look at these 4 or 5 single events, it's almost like a balloon. As each event goes 1, 1, 1, that balloon is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And at 4 or 5 events, it is pretty much at the point where it's going to pop, but you don't know when. Is it going to get another breath into that balloon, or is it going to pop? Again, just be mindful of these events and just be careful. Okay, we're going to go back to some descending events of the same side. If you notice, and actually, this is the same shoe from the first time. You look at the same side, so you get 4, 3, 2, 1. This is probably the only flaw that will beat Vinceap, because if you think about it, here, if there was a 0 here, you would bet this is going to go to 4. No, it went to 3. Then you're going to bet it's going to go to 3 or 4, and then it goes to 2, and you bet it's going to go to 2, and it stays at 1. So this is the bad thing for Vinceap, but this regularly happens a lot. So just be mindful of not just the combined descending events, but the same side descending events. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, again, like Vince is saying, there's no way to predict or magical in any of this. It's something you need to add to your game. But if we go back to those 5 players in a row and we look across to the right on the shoe, what happened, you're going to see a lot of movement. I'm going to call it ascending as opposed to descending. But if you look at it, you're going to see the ascending event, and Vince drew a line for it, there for the last probably 12 hands or whatever. But you're going to see it all the way back to those 5 players in a row, and it just starts moving up the page, so to speak, or up your scorecard. So pay attention to it.
I mean, if you look at this shoe just for as an example, it's almost in thirds. You got the 2s here, then it goes streaky with playing with you a little bit, and then it starts going kind of strong side a little bit. You can play strong side, but just like I said, just be careful of the descending events. Events 4, 5, dude. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's just a few more that I have. Kevin, is there any? I know we didn't point them out, but is there any other red flags that you have?
No, the red flag really is, and Oz is probably turning over in his bed right now with the time zone difference. But basically, when in doubt, wait it out. And I know he didn't make that up, but he's right.
Okay. we got to use these red flags, and you have to take a moment of pause and say, why should I not make this bet? It's kind of going towards another bias, like I said, the descending offense or 4 out of 5. Why aren't you making that bet? And look at your counts. If you're following the shoe, if there's a checks and balances where you see a red flag from Oz or from maybe anything that I pointed out, whether you agree with it or not, and it doesn't jive with what your count is telling you or what the tempo of the shoe is telling you, wait it out. One of the best things, and Way Too Fast has said this to me a number of times, as opposed to blackjack, this game, you don't have to bet every time. You can take a break. I think Way Too Fast has, once he loses 2 bets in a row, I think he reevaluates everything. You don't have to bet every hand in this, especially if you're playing, with a number of people that are just gonna, throw their money away and help you out as far as the shoe progressing. So just again, use it as a moment of pause and let it go. Kevin?
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, again, there's no compelling reason that you have to bet every hand. And if you're uncomfortable, or you're not comfortable, I should say, with playing your own game without anybody else at the table, then sit down at a table where there's other players, and you don't have to bet every hand. Let them do the quote unquote heavy lifting for you.
Exactly. Okay, actually, these are the red flags that I talked about. Okay. All right, we talked about this. What we're going to do is we're going to go into Kevin and I. Again, as I said before, this is unscripted between Kevin and I. Kind of make it just more of a conversation that you guys are listening to, and if anybody has any questions or whatever, you can throw it on the post after Keith puts in. Distractions at the table, number of things. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, I think the biggest distraction is other players.
Exactly.
Personally, that's my biggest distraction, is trying to think about what other people are doing. How are they reaching those conclusions? Am I losing and they're winning, or am I winning and they're losing, and why? That is the biggest distraction.
I think one of the biggest distractions is like, I'm a fast player. As soon as the cards are discarded and all the chips are paid out, I'm throwing my bet up there. I'm a little too fast, actually. But especially with the predominant players that are playing this game, very slow, very deliberate. I'm like almost pulling whatever little hair I have out of my head, trying to get these people to bet. It's funny because at parks or any other place in like Atlantic City, nobody's betting. And then once they find out, they say, okay, last call. And as they're about to discard, start throwing out the cards, that's when everybody bets. And I have no clue why, but it is. And that is a major distraction for me. That's one of the reasons why I like online gambling, online Baccarat. It's 45 minutes. It's 15 seconds to shoot between hands. I win my 3 or 4 units. I can say, okay, the next shoe's going to start in a couple of minutes, and I can come back. It just prolongs the events. Another distraction I think is money. The predominant player that plays this game, there's kind of like a hierarchy almost. You get this guy that comes in and he sends out a marker of $10,000, $20,000, and you're playing your $50 or $100 units, and all of a sudden everybody there finds out what this guy's betting, because since this guy's got the most money, he's got to be the best player because he's got the most money. You know what? He just has the most money. Doesn't mean he's the best player in the world. Don't look at him. Don't look at what everybody else is betting. If you have conviction in your bet, you make your bet. And if it's you against the world, it's you against the world. Kevin?
Yeah, I second that emotion. Then
That's Smokey Robinson.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Pretty good there.
I know.
I'm a big one for, posting on the forum about how music and movies and life events really a reflection or a predictor of how we might want to approach this game. And to Vince's point, really, how much other people gamble or bet or wager is a huge distraction to most people. Once you get to the level where you should be, and you will be if you just come along with us, you will find that how much anybody else bets is really of no consequence to the outcome of the game. And so I'm 100% with Vince on that one. Do not be deluded or led by the nose or think that that person, he or she, there's a lot of she's out there, that have the most money are the smartest people. That does not mean that they have won the most money or are capable of winning the most money. It just means that at the moment they have money at their disposal that they're probably going to lose, and maybe there's more behind it. But like I say, don't be misled by that. Just play your game.
Kevin and I were just at the Venetian playing a little bit, and funny story is I got there before Kevin, about half an hour, and one of the dealers in the pit boss pointed in the direction of roulette, which is behind us, and I look at, and the guy is throwing out $125,000 a spin. He had yellow chips, and which is 1,000 pieces, and he's putting $3,000 or $4,000 on numbers and this and all that. And if you want to look at that theory of what we were talking about with the hierarchy, if you put that guy into Baccarat, the guy the pit boss told me he was down $3 million at that time. Down $3 million. Yeah, he had the most money, but you know what? Though he stinks at roulette. I can tell you that much. So let
me just add one thing, and this is going to probably surprise everybody about distractions, because it's not about the cocktail waitress or the little black dress or the sports center on TV or whatever. One of your biggest distractions is going to be the dealer. And what I mean by that is you're going to find that there are some dealers that honestly really don't want you to lose. Now imagine them sitting there and people are coming up to the table and betting 50, 100, 500, 1,000. I don't really care what they're betting. And that guy's sitting there or she's sitting there and they're making, a couple of bucks an hour in tips. They're not going to be real happy sometimes. Some of them are not going to be real happy with people throwing around money that they can't, because they're sitting on the other side of the table kind of thinking to themselves, well, there's really no house, so to speak, in Baccarat. It's red and blue, or red and black, or whatever. But basically there are going to be some dealers that are going to be a distraction to you. And I would strongly, after so many years of doing this, urge you, if you find that one dealer or a group of dealers or some are distracting to you, just don't play at their table. And if they come in and start dealing the game, it might be time to get up and leave. That's just my opinion, but I've seen it for a long time now.
Yeah, I guess this is probably going to be like the war story go-to meeting, I guess. 2 times ago, I was playing at the Mirage, and I do a lot of charting, not nearly the charting that Kevin does. I do a lot of charting, and the guy saw me doing the charting, and he specifically went out to talk to me as I'm doing until after it was done. And I didn't do great at the shoe. And you know what? I'm a middle class guy, just like everybody else is here, probably, or mostly everybody else. You know what? I'm these guys make money. It's their job and stuff. If I win, you know what? I'm gonna duke them some money. I didn't duke him because I felt that he was trying to do that on purpose to distract me. So, like, to Kevin's point, yeah, just be careful of the dealers as well. Slumps, my favorite subject. Listen, you look at any one of my posts, I'm probably transparent players here. When I win, I'll tell you I'm winning, and when I'm losing, I'll tell you I'm losing, because you know what? I'm human, and I don't have a crystal ball. I feel that I'm a very good player. I don't know if I'm up to the level of way too fast or Nick or Oz or whoever, but I feel I'm a very accomplished player. But you know what? Right now, I'm in a pretty decent slump. It's not because I'm losing; it's how I'm losing. You know what? It's one of those times where, one card's going to beat me. It comes out. I have a decent banker, two cards, and a player comes out with a 7. Now I have to take this, which is gonna kill me, and most of the time it does. I just see things, and I made a funny thing to Kevin. I'm like, it's like, we were talking about the slump, and I says, I was doing really good at this one shoe, and then that's when I met the bear, and the bear came in and attacked me. He found out what I was betting, and he rearranged the cards, and I just couldn't win a hand, and it happens to everybody. Slumps. You look at the greatest ball players and athletes, and every one of them has gotten into a slump here and there. Just what you do with it. And you know what? I'm not going to stand up here on my soapbox and tell you that I'm not mad, I'm not angry, and I haven't thrown a couple things here and there, downstairs in my basement, and my wife coming downstairs telling me to stop the F-bombs. I'm not going to tell you that hasn't happened, because that has happened. But in hindsight and in the aftermath, I know I'm a good player. I know that things will work itself out in the end. I know things will turn around. I believe in what I'm doing. It's just that you just have to just wade through the storm. Sometimes maybe take a break, reevaluate your game. Maybe you can polish something up here. Maybe you find yourself deficient in some area that you can shore up. But you get through that. Kevin?
I hit the nail on the head the other day, and most of us pay somebody to do our taxes. Most of us hire an attorney if we get into a jam of some sort or another, and I've been in a few. But you've got the greatest coach in the world at your fingertips, and that is the strategic Baccarat interface. And like I say, Oz hit it on the. He talked about sorting the shoes into groups of 100, and then even moving them into groups of 500 to see if there was some swing or something he had noticed. So if you get in a slump, just get your computer turned on and go to the. I call it SBI, but go there, and you will find your way out of the slump, because you will start again recognizing what works, what doesn't, why it works, when it works, how it works, and I would highly urge you to go there.
Not just the player and banker. Look at the percentages. Like, if you take like 25 shoes and the percent. Look at the percentages of what's going on. Is ones versus twos, and obviously threes and stuff. But again, it's something you're going to have to wade through, and depending on the quality of player you are, it's not going to be that permanent. Hopefully, it's going to be short. So
yeah, by the way, I also bet a lot of sports, and I guarantee you, whether I pay for advice or I try to handicap it myself, you're going to run into some times where you're going to lose 9 out of 10 games, or whatever, and you're going to run into times where you're going to win 9 out of 10. You're going to think, man, I'm smarter than the average bear. But slumps are natural. Slumps are going to occur, and the big thing is don't let it get you down, but don't bet a lot of money while you're in a slump. That's the biggest mistake people make, is they run to the ATM and think, okay, I've got to win the next hand. I'm due. Well, you're not due.
Exactly. And that's one of the things about going on tilt is going to the ATM and listen. I'm not going to say that I haven't gone on tilt and bet a negative progression here and there, and I have. And you know what? Sometimes it worked. Most times it didn't. The one thing that I can say with pride is that I've never gone to an ATM. I mean, if I lost and I said, that's it, you know what? I'm done. And I start yelling at myself at home. So just again, bear in mind that it's going to happen. Slumps are not any indication of your play. However, if the slump is long and prolonged, then maybe reevaluate your game. But if it's a short one, the ebbs and flows, the peaks and valleys, whatever kind of cliche you want to use, it happens. It's just a part of life. So yeah, right, good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, this is going to be Kevin's portion of the 87%.
It's been a couple of months. I don't remember exactly when it was, and I think Keith has recently grouped all the quote-unquote master classes together on the BeatTheCasino forum. And I just want to say that I don't have a statistical evaluation of the 87% solution, but really, honestly and candidly, it really is true. If you just play 87% of the plays, which is mean ones, twos, or threes in a row on either the banker or player side, and you could break it down by just banker or just player, or you can play it in total, whatever, you're going to find that you are really going to figure out kind of how easy it is to be successful. I'm not talking about winning 4, 5, 10, 42, whatever, percent of your shoes or whatever. I'm just talking about if you just want to win a couple of units, take a look closely at a lot of shoes you've played, or again, they're on the forum. You will find that you can really hone in on the 87% solution and just look at, are ones staying 1 or are they going to 2? Are twos staying 2 or are they going to 3? Are threes staying 3 or are they going to 4? And if they go to 4 or more, you're not really concerned with playing the rest of that out. You're just waiting for the next 1, 2, or 3. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that in as a reminder of something that is a simple way of looking at the game.
I've incorporated that in my game. I'm just playing either ones, twos, or 3 pluses. I think it's an excellent way to look at it. Are you throwing away a huge dragon tail win? Yeah, and last time I played with CT here, I made the reference. I says, when you're only playing ones, twos, and threes, and you see like a 9, 10, 11 in a row, it's almost like getting waterboarded. It's just like, saying, will this please end, because I got to tell you, it's it seems like you're throwing money away, but for me, to maintain my feeling of professionalism, I have to stay within that 1, 2, or 3. So I don't really care about it. But you're looking at it like, oh my God, when is this torture going to end? But again, it's just part of the game. So
I agree.
My portion, Vince App. I still believe that this is probably one of the biggest advantages that we have in the game. It's because, again, like I've said before, and I'll say it ad nauseum, the things that we're focusing on in Vince App has to happen. For it to get to 8, it's got to go to 2 and 4. For it to get to 10, it's got to get to 2, 4, 6, and 8. And it's the same thing on player or banker, whether you want to use it. I recommend playing it separately, player and banker. But also, the SAP 20 bet with either 16 or 20, whatever you want to do, depending on if you're playing online or not. You combine the events, and if like the ones get to a 16, or the twos or 3 pluses, and I'm just telling you how I'm playing, whether you use 4 columns or 3 columns, get to 8. All right, that will be the 16 if we're using a weighted form of SAP. So not to say you have to use use it all the time, depending on what the shoe is. But if there's a situation where it's going to get to a number divisible by 2, and actually with ones, I've been waiting for it to go to 4, and once it hits a 4 on the ones, then I go to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. But I really think it's a it probably has a better win percentage than card counting, because you know what, in card counting, when the counts are really high, yeah, there's more tens in the deck than there is things, but you can't guarantee that they're going to come out. Same thing with this one. The only thing is you can't say when it's going to come out, but it has to come out, because at the end of it'll always be at 16, 17 if you combine them. It has to come out. So if anybody's a fan of that, and actually I know Wolfat is going to be giving a master class on his form of BinSap. And just a little thing to Wolfat, because we've communicated. Kevin's 87%, me VinSap, Oz's version of Follow the Shoe. None of us have enough of an ego to say, you really should just play it my way. My way is the best. My way is the best. You know what? The one thing that we all have that it's unique to each other is our own unique little vision of what you see. I don't take any offense if anybody says I don't like VinSap. I don't see it. I don't take any offense to say, well, you know what? I don't think the thing's divisible by 2 is a good thing. Maybe it's divisible by 3, or whatever changes they make to the certain belief that's going to make it their own. None of us have that kind of ego here, and that's one of the best things about this forum. We're all a group of guys, and I say we're a team, and I know Keith says we're a team. We're all in this together, and if something works for me, I think it's my duty, my obligation to come out and sell it to the forum and put it out there for some of the great minds to see and pick out their flaws if there is any. So, if you have an idea about something, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't put it on the forum. You check your ego at the door, and if it deserves to be picked apart, trust me, guys like some of the accomplished players here will have no problem picking you apart about it. But it's not out of any type of spite. It's out of good. It's for the good of you, for the good of the forum. Kevin?
Well, here's what's good about VinSap. This is what I love about it. Is a lot of us don't have multiple shoes to look at. Now, I'm fortunate because I live in Vegas because I can go all around town and look for the kind of shoe I want or whatever. But let's just say you only have 1 or 2 tables, or let's just say you show up late and the hands go, or the shoes going slowly, and there you are at hand 30, and you're thinking, okay, I got 30, 40, whatever hands left, and you look at it and you go, you know what, I got time to kind of scope this out, and you can chart VinSap while everybody else is making their next bet. And I guarantee you by about hand 32 or 33, if you started at hand 30, you're going to have a real good idea about what you might want to do next. And that's what I love about VinSap. It's an easy way to pick up on a shoe somewhere, after 20 or 30 hands, and not have to worry about all the pluses and minuses of, what's already happened. Just look at, the sap counts.
I've said this story before, and I'm used way too fast. Way too fast, and I were playing at Sands one time, and I think we were going to dinner, and like I said, I know I've said the story before, but we were going past the shoe, and it was kind of like 2/3 full a little bit. And as I'm looking at it, I'm charting everything out. I'm charting the whole shoe out combined, and it approached an opportunity for one of the sequence of events to go to 20. So I told him, I said, hey, let's stop real quick. And it went to the opportunity, and then I bet it. I bet $100, and I won, and I left. So to Kevin's point, as opposed to sitting down too, if you're taking a break, if you're looking around, or you're in between shoes, VinSap can be used. You don't have to keep score. You can just do it in your head, and once it gets to a number that's approaching a number divisible by 2, or 16 or 20 or whatever, you can. It's almost like an MDB bet if you want to snipe. Be like a sniper and come around and just hit that bet and go. Is it going to win all the time? No, absolutely not. But it will get to something. Will get to 16. and it will get to 20. Every shoe. I challenge anybody to go into strategic Bacc and find a shoe where it hasn't gone to, if you do the weighted sap, 16 or 20, or the unweighted sap of number 1, column 1, 16, column 2 or 3 of 8. That'll be the equivalent to the weighted sap. I challenge you. It has to happen. So I like my chances on betting on something that has to happen.
I agree. I think it's a tool that anybody that is serious about playing this game should at least have in the back of their mind every time they're playing a shoe. It's easy to keep track of it. It's not a difficult thing to keep track of. I don't care if you use a scorecard, whatever. It's so easy to just look at the damn tote board and say, you know what? I think I know what the next one's going to be, because as Vince was just saying, one of them's going to be divisible by 2 or 8 or whatever. And you really should look back at Vince App, his masterclass, because it's a great tool.
And like I said to you before, because I guess in closing, we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit. The only thing that's really going to kill Vince App is the descending counts. It's either, if you play as a whole, the descending combined counts, or if you're playing player and banker separately, the descending counts on the same side. It's the only thing that's going to beat it. And I like my chances. If I start seeing that the descending counts, the red flag coming up, well, you know what? I'm gonna. That's my moment of pause, and I'm not going to bet, because there'll be other opportunities approaching. So, Kevin, in closing.
Yeah, in closing, I would just say that my guy, Keith, was nice enough this week to put all the master classes together in kind of one little area of the forum. And the first time you go through it, you might not catch on. You might question, is it going to work every time? Well, nothing works every time. But if you combine all those master classes, you probably have somewhere around 75 to 100 years of Baccarat experience at your fingertips.
Yeah, and then take Oz away, and then add everybody else up too.
Okay, well, yeah, that might be 200 if you add Oz in. I'm sorry, I do apologize. But bottom line is, do master classes. Just if you take one little tidbit out of each one, you are going to be a much better player. And I do wish you guys all the best.
Again, what we're presenting was not originally designed the way it's being presented. It was supposed to be kind of like a video. Unfortunately, Keith is very under the weather, and couldn't make it. But we called him up. We took something like a go-to-meeting, and like I said, this was completely unscripted. It was off the cuff, and I'm sure it's going to sound unrehearsed, which it is. But we kind of wanted to shed some light on a few things and add a few things to it. So with that being said, anybody that's going to watch this go-to-meeting, I appreciate your time. Please, any questions, from me or Kevin or anybody else in the forum, please don't hesitate to ask.
You know how to reach me.